Gardeners constantly struggle with common weeds in New England that invade their gardens and cause stiff competition with their plants. Commonly, a weed is a plant growing where it's not wanted. There are a number of plants that fall into this category of weeds for their vigorous growth and the ability to take over the garden without permission. Some plants like daylilies are string vigorous growing plants that compete with most weeds. But in some cases, they are defeated too. Weeds can be divided into annuals or perennials. This is based on their growth habits. Annuals usually grow quickly and seed heavily, killing the young plants by stagnating them. Perennials grow slowly and are slow to produce flowers and seeds. Regularly pulling off the weeds is the best approach to eliminating all weeds. Types of weeds. Normal weed. This is a plant that causes ecological damages, creates health problems for humans or animals, and grows in areas where it is undesired, for example, giant foxtail, crabgrass, poison ivy, etc. Noxious weed. These are weeds that fall in the category that is designated by federal, state, or local government officials as injurious to the health of the public, agriculture, recreation, property, or wildlife. When a weed is classified as noxious, it is destroyed or quarantined to contain its spread, for example, field bindweed. Invasive weed. These are weeds that establish, persist, and spread without mercy. They take over your garden and spread wildly in natural ecosystems. Many invasive weeds are classified as noxious. These weeds lack natural enemies to stop them from growing. Most common weeds in New England. Here is a list of the most common weeds in New England. Poison sumac, cloverleaf, clover, ground elder, poison ivy, purslane, broadleaf dock, oxalis, Japanese knotweed, stinging nettle, groundsel, Mars tail, crabgrass, curly dock, lesser celandine, bindweed, dandelion, wild madder, hairy bittercress, giant ragweed, orange jewelweed, red dead nettle, herb Robert, plantain plants, bittersweet, common self-heal, rosebay willowherb, common ragweed, horsetail weed, creeping buttercup, herb Bennett, hedge bindweed, common daisy, cat's ear, common horsetail, ground ivy, creeping speedwell, cleavers. Ways to prevent weeds before they become an enormous problem. The best way to control weeds is by prevention. There are ways you can prevent the use of herbicides by using non-chemical weed control methods. Herbicides are a quick fix but will not keep your weeds' problems from recurring year after year. Taking preventive measures helps reduce the weed problem in the future. The number one rule is, never let them seed. Some weed varieties produce tens of thousands of seeds from a single plant and multiply your weed control problems for years to come. Be sure to remove weeds around your plants before they flower and produce seeds. Here are ways to control common weeds of New England. Weed early. Don't wait until the weeds are fully mature to weed them, do so when they are young. Insect your garden daily and pull out the weeds or cut them off below the soil line. Be careful to dig in a shallow manner so you don't bring new weed seeds to the surface. Discard the pulled weeds to stop them from growing again. Pull the weeds when the ground is moist. Buy weed-free mulch, soil, or compost. Be careful when buying these materials from the garden centers. Read the seed labels to make sure they don't contain any other crop seed. During fall or spring, when it's not the gardening season, break your soil up to 8 inches of soil, rake it flat, and cover the soil in plastic sheeting for 6 to 8 weeks before planting. After that, avoid cultivating the soil more than 2 inches deep. Once you have seeded, avoid tilling the ground to avoid multiplying weeds, especially the perennials that thrive after tilling. Apply a mulch to keep the weeds away from growing. Weeds have a hard time pushing through the mulch and blocking the sunlight. Water right around your plants instead of sprinkling the entire garden, or you will be watering the weeds half the time. Do not over-fertilize your grounds or you will be promoting weed growth. Nature abhors a vacuum, and allowing certain low-growing weeds to keep growing can be beneficial. These plants can occupy space and act like green mulch to prevent certain types of more invasive weeds from growing. Also, some of these weeds serve as useful food to humans. That said, it is left to you to judge what kind of weeds you want to allow and what types you want to destroy ASAP. Be wise and make the right decision. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.